Hi everyone, welcome to MPU Live. My name is Carrie Rodriguez, I'm the founder of MPU, and we are doing a special edition today. We are live in New Bedford. New Bedford, who knew Massachusetts Parents United was in New Bedford, but here we are. I feel like it's the birth of a new chapter that we have down here. But we're really excited because we're at Alma del Mar, which is a fantastic charter school right here in New Bedford. We're going to be talking a little bit about what happens in this school, some of the controversy that happens around the school. No controversy in the school, but around the school, some drama. And talking with not only the folks who founded the school, who run the school, but also community leaders who are really impacted directly by what happens in this building and really the amazing things that we're able to give to kids and what that means for the community at large. So we're excited to have you with us today, and we're excited to have this conversation. And we're blessed. We have Will Gardner, who is actually one of the founders of Alma del Mar, with us. So
Thanks,
nice to have you with us.
Yeah, well, great to have you down here. Welcome back to New Bedford.
That's right. That's right. Being a Portuguese girl, I do have some. I have a ton of cousins down here.
Excellent.
I love the food. I'm going to make Jen take us to Sagres maybe tonight. What do you think, Jen?
Yeah.
Yeah, got to do it.
Antonio's is good too. Yeah.
Antonio's is good, right? I think you like Antonio's better too.
Okay.
Everybody.
Not a Sagres fan.
Yeah.
Anyway, but we're excited to be here in New Bedford, and we've been hearing from a lot of parents and kind of trying to be supportive from afar about some of the controversy happening. And frankly, we know what the controversy is. This is a wonderful school, getting some amazing outcomes for students, and of course that makes some folks in more traditional district settings a little bit nervous because they feel threatened by success. And so instead of wanting to be collaborative. And what we're hearing from parents is that they're really excited at the prospect of seeing Alma grow. So we want to figure out what's going on in this building. So talk to us. You founded this place, not in this spot, but give us the origin story.
Not in this spot. So a while back, about 10 years ago, I was working in the middle schools here in New Bedford, working with kids in the district, running a program trying to catch kids up academically, get them fired up again about school. We were getting a lot of kids who would come into middle school just, woefully behind academically. And so what we were seeing is first of all, kids were coming in too far behind in middle school. And it wasn't the fault of the kids, it wasn't the fault of the parents. And then secondly, that, when we created the right kind of culture, the right kind of environment, we could get kids fired up about school again and feeling as if school was something they can really succeed at and do. So there was a group of us at the time who said, hey, what if we took some of these ideas and started in kindergarten and created something where we could really do right by our kids so that we weren't playing catch up by the time they got to middle school. And so there was a group of us, myself, my wife was a special educator, so she helped out. I'd be remiss not to mention her there.
You better.
Some area educators and some community leaders as well. And we formed kind of a little working group initially and started going out and anywhere they would have us, basically, where there was a school that was getting it done for kids in similar communities to New Bedford. So it didn't matter if it was an independent school, parochial school, district school, charter school, it didn't matter. I wanted to see who was doing this work really effectively and getting results with kids. And fortunately, there's a great group of schools in Boston. There's a lot of great, strong charter schools there that are really strong urban public schools. And we were able to get a lot of ideas from a lot of folks. So the first thing in terms of our origin story is, I really feel like as a school, we stand on the backs of a lot of giants, people who have run great urban schools in the past that we've been able to learn from, and nobody's reinvented the wheel here. So we took...
Because we actually know what works, right? We know the things that we kind of need to do.
We know a lot of the basics, right? And I mean, unfortunately, it's never easy. It's not easy stuff, right? I mean, I always preface that with saying, this is really, really hard work, right? And I think a lot of times people think that, people with successful charter schools, that we just present an image like this is easy work or something like that. And that couldn't be farther from the truth. This is really grueling, really challenging work on the part of a lot of adults who are mission aligned every single day, putting so much effort in.
So let's talk about mission aligned.
Yeah,
What's the mission?
Yeah, so our mission is to put every single one of our scholars on the path to college and to challenge them to be service-minded leaders. And that service component is really about making sure that our scholars are people who are giving back to their community and develop that habit early on at the same time that they're advancing in their own careers and their own lives. The other piece to service that we've found really helpful in the life of the school is that when I'm creating work that is not just going to end up in the recycle bin at the end of the day, when I'm creating work that's not just going to be seen by one person, my teacher, but it's actually going to be seen by the wider world, or it's actually going to make an impact in the community beyond my classroom, then I'm going to put a lot of effort into that work, right? And I'm going to start to understand why it is we do all these things that we do in school. So that's not every piece of work that we do, but we try to make sure that scholars every year are, engaging in a few things where it has a wider impact, a wider scope to their work.
A lot of what you're saying is very interesting, and we're seeing echoed in Arnie Duncan's new book. I don't know if you've read it.
I haven't read it yet.
You should. I have a copy.
Okay.
I would give you mine because
Nice.
I think it's fascinating. But it's actually a story you already know, because he talks a lot about the importance of starting early.
Yes.
And the trouble with
Absolutely.
not being prepared by the time you're in sixth grade. Like the cart's already left the barn by that point, and it's really, really difficult to get back on track.
Yeah.
Being so far behind. So
Right.
your vision of starting with kindergarten, but you've already.
And my hat's off to educators who do start at the middle school level or who do start at the high school level. And there are people who do it, and it can be done, certainly, right? Mm-hmm. But I agree. The earlier you start, the better off you are. And I think the other thing we focus on, again, to your point about we know what works, it's about making sure that a scholar has not just a good teacher for 1 year, because I think there's a lot of kids in a lot of even like really tough, failing urban districts, there's a lot of kids who might have a good teacher for 1 year. The problem is, for the next 3 years, they might have subpar instruction, and that'll erase all the gains they had from that one great year with that teacher, right? So we're focused on consistency, making sure that when a scholar goes from kindergarten to first grade, they're handed off from one great teacher to another great teacher who talk with each other, who are on the same page. We're going to be able to follow up on that individual scholar. And I think that consistency across the board is another thing that's really important that we focus on.
And let me ask you this question, because I'm a parent advocate. I'm not an education policy expert. I get to hang around with a lot of big brains, and I'm learning a lot. But this is not. These conversations is how I learn as a parent. But I am learning through conversations I'm having with everyone. Like all of these amazing, excellent education leaders across the country. Is that high quality teaching is really the key to all of it.
It is.
Because as a parent, sometimes you're like, well, what is it? What is that secret sauce that I want so bad for my kid? And it's really, it's high quality teaching and the quality of instruction.
Well, that's it, right? I mean, I have so many friends, as an educator, I'm sure you get these kind of questions all the time, given your line of work now, is, I have so many friends that'll say, and wherever they're living, they're like, can you give me advice on how to find the right school for my kid? And, it's challenging, right? Even for parents with a lot of choices and a lot of means. And my first advice is always to focus on the teacher that your child has, and that no matter what school they're at, right? That if they have a great teacher, they can have a great year, and they can learn a lot. And the opposite can also be true, right? You can go to a great school, have a tough teacher for a year, and lose a year.
Now, this is really tough work. This is really, really difficult work. Even under the best of economic circumstances, it's hard.
Absolutely.
In New Bedford, it's incredibly difficult because you have a depressed economy. I mean,
Absolutely.
I was a reporter in New Bedford 10 years ago, 15 years ago, and still dealing. I know I look very good for my age. Yes, I do. But when I was here, dealing with the same kind of situations, the same conversations around what are we going to do to restart this economy here after the death of manufacturing, after the death of the ports, and we all, feels like chitty chitty bang bang sitting on a fence here because you're trying to like rearrange things where you're not really getting to the heart of the problem, which is really, we don't have a strong and viable kind of economic workforce here, or a strong, empowered economic engine, because we don't have an educated workforce that would be able to support that kind of, investment from the business community. Now, obviously, that's not your number one concern, but when you think about New Bedford in the context of New Bedford, I mean, there are easier places to start a charter school to get this going. Why do it here? Like, that's really the heart of it.
Yeah, I mean, I think easier places, well, that's boring, right? I mean, I think, I think one of the reasons why I'm here and why, the whole kind of Alma crew is here is we relish that challenge, and we also just love this community, and we see it not full of kind of deficits, which is in the way it's often kind of painted, but we see just like so much potential, right? And where we especially see potential is in young people and in the future leaders of this region. I mean, what an incredible history this community has, right? What incredible diversity. And those are great places to start. Especially when we're thinking about our curriculum too, we're often thinking like, how can we leverage that diversity? How can we leverage the rich history of this city toward making it like a really incredible educational experience?
Yeah, it is like living
scholars.
in a history book right here.
Oh,
I mean,
totally.
History is all around you.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. So we're constantly doing that and using that to our advantage. But in terms of why New Bedford, I think it's also, hey man, this is where we are most needed, and this is where I feel like I'm called to do this work and make my stand in terms of my career and my work, what I do. They don't need me in Wellesley, really, and I probably just drive them crazy. So this is that's why we're here, and I think it's also particularly stark. I started out teaching. I was a Teach for America Corps member, and I was in the Mississippi Delta, another wonderful region with a ton of potential and wonderful people and culture. But I think, people up here, they'd say, well, we'd expect, educational attainment in the Mississippi Delta, this remote region in the Deep South, we'd expect it to be low, rightly or wrongly.
Very similar to here, right?
But then you turn the mirror, on our own state, my own home state of Massachusetts, and I say, wow, there's, academic achievement that's, at those same low levels as it is in the Mississippi Delta, right here in our backyard, right here in New Bedford.
And this is the conversation we at Massachusetts Parents United have been trying to advance for so long.
Yeah.
We get very lazy in these conversations because we're number one in some spaces. We're not number one for everybody, not number one in every region of the state.
Right.
And we kind of skate by and get over because, in the aggregate, we've got these great numbers.
Right.
So I think it's critically important that we really start taking more of a focus on, what we can do to help support, our regional issues in areas like New Bedford.
Right.
And the idea that, when we find schools that are working, that we would then attack them is just crazy to me.
Yeah.
I want to get into this. I mean, I can ask you all the academic questions.
Sure.
Frankly, we can see what's working here.
Yeah.
We can see that, when you stack up what's happening at Alma versus what's happening with, some of the district schools in New Bedford, it's a no-brainer why there's parent demand here, why folks are trying to get into the school. Mm-hmm. But, again, for some reason in Massachusetts, there is this visceral reaction to charter schools. And you guys have found yourself, finding success in this building, wanting to do it for more kids, but then being under fire, right?
Right.
So I got to ask you, just as Will, not as the executive director of Alma del Mar.
Okay.
What has this been like for you to suddenly be the evil villain in this storyline?
Carrie, I have to say, as Will, it is surreal because. Look, I got into this as a teacher and an educator, and first off, I never set out to start a charter school, right? I set out to solve a particular problem in a particular community, which was how do we provide better educational opportunities for kids here in New Bedford? right? Now, the avenue that we eventually decided to take was to create a Commonwealth charter school, because we believed that that would give us the greatest autonomy to do what we thought was necessary for kids. But it wasn't like I came to it with, this like pro-charter, or charters are the only answer kind of attitude.
So at what point did the dark money barons come and make you sign your soul over to the devil?
So,
like, at what point does that happen?
Before I answer that, I'm going to have to check with my corporate overlords, who I have to check with on everything. No, I'm still waiting for the call from my corporate overlords, or I'm still waiting for that dark money to arrive.
Yeah, me too.
And so I think it's been surreal for me, because we started this little school, a group of us within this community and educators, and we've seen it grow through a ton of hard work, and all of us just kind of like backbreaking work to make sure that we're being true to this mission. We certainly don't have all the answers, and we've got a lot of work still to do where we're focused here. But to see, and then we work within the context of the state and follow kind of what is outlined for us by the State Department of Education. Now, one of the things that's outlined for us is that if we want to serve more students, there's a mechanism by which we apply to serve more students. Mm-hmm. And they created that mechanism, and they grew the opportunity to serve more students in places like New Bedford. So specifically in the bottom 10% performing districts, which New Bedford has been since you were reporting back then. So we are following the process laid out by the department to serve more students. All we want to do is...
And there are more seats available.
There are more seats available. All we want to do is to do even more hard work and serve even more kids and families. So getting back to your original question.
It's not like the families don't want to be served either. How many folks are on your wait list?
Yeah, no, we're not, we're not twisting anybody's arm. So we have over 500 families on our wait list, and we sweep the wait list clean every year when we do our lottery. So that's 500 fresh new names every single year. And that's generally without advertising. It's mostly word of mouth through our families now. And then we do some targeted door-to-door work. So in the highest needs areas, or in places with families who don't speak English as a first language, we're doing targeted outreach to make sure that they're hearing about us. But we're not advertising in the local newspaper of note. We're not on billboards or online, because we know that if we did, we'd be flooded even more. Mm-hmm. So we're trying to reach those families who normally wouldn't hear about us necessarily. But yeah, to your original question, when we applied to serve more students, we thought, we want to make a wider impact. We want to be able to serve more students and families and kind of build on the success we've had. We want to build more scale to create more capacity in what we're doing, right? So we can impact not only the kids and families that we currently serve, but also people in the wider city. The more capacity we have, the more ability we have to work with our fellow educators in the district and to offer more professional development, things like that, do more dissemination. So we applied with all of this in mind, and then I've just been kind of watching a lot of this political stuff swirl around us. But to be honest, in the day-to-day work, we're just still focused on how do we get our scholars to learn what they need to learn and learn the successful academic habits that they need in order to be future leaders. And that really hasn't changed. So it's been a lot of noise. And in a lot of cases, I've had to just kind of block out the noise to make sure that we're really focused on what we need to do and what we do best.
Now, you've actually had some wonderful parent leaders step up and rally to the
That's
cause
been awesome.
and fight.
Yeah.
So talk to us about that, seeing your parents and your scholars actually step up and say, I'm sorry, what are you saying about our school?
Well, I will say, and that's been something that's really been exciting, and it's kind of tied to our mission of wanting our scholars to be service-minded leaders. So a few weeks back, we had something on the city council where, somebody had wanted to pass kind of a symbolic resolution against our growth. And what was amazing was this was something that was kind of slipped into the agenda 48 hours before the city council meeting. What was amazing was there was a number of our parents who came out of the woodwork and said, hey, this isn't right, and what can we do to advocate for the school? Like, this doesn't describe the school that I know my child goes to, or the education that my child's receiving. And so they really rallied, and they got on the phone, and they contacted these local politicians and their ward counselors, and we heard from pretty much all of the counselors that they received a lot of communication from our families, which was really cool. And I think the most exciting part was after that council meeting, there was a group of our families that was outside of City Hall, and a lot of them were saying, hey, this is my first time at City Hall. This is my first time at a city council meeting, and wow, that person who was talking during the meeting, they mentioned something that I wrote that I sent to them. And I think that, to me, more so than the current issue at hand, that's the most important thing to me, is that our families felt this sense of civic engagement. And I know that's also going to be a really important thing that they can model for our scholars, and that's going to carry out for our student body as well, is when they see mom or dad or uncle or aunt really engaged with what's going on in their community, that's a real inspiration, and that's going to carry over into our scholars' sense of themselves and their agency as well.
Well, I'll tell you, it's also spilling over to other parents in other communities who have been watching and seeing what's happening here.
Yeah.
Because what you guys are talking about, what you were just discussing right now, is exactly what we do at Massachusetts Parents United. We unlock a lot of this for parents and get them to understand what their power is and how important it is that they use it.
Yeah.
It can be so intimidating to walk into a city council chamber.
Yeah.
Or sometimes you feel as if, oh gosh, if I'm one person writing a letter, no one's really going to read it.
Right.
And then suddenly you're in the middle of the process. They are listening to you.
Yeah.
But if you never take that first step, nothing is ever going to happen.
That's right.
And we work with a lot of families that, maybe have never even voted, never done any of that, saying, oh, this is all of these problems are too big for me, but oh gosh, I hate that this is happening to my school, or this is happening in my community.
That's right.
And what we're trying to do is help them to find their voices in this, and recognizing how important parent power actually is. And we were very inspired by what's been happening in New Bedford. That's why we're here today. We want to show our support and our solidarity for all of the parents at Alma del Mar. We see them. We're proud of them.
Yeah.
We're here to help them and let them know that there are thousands of other parents across the Commonwealth that are standing with them as they fight. And they stand up for their school and their kids, and hopefully you will be adding more families to your community soon. I have faith that the numbers don't lie, and in a city where we have the 4th most underperforming district school system in the Commonwealth, and you have a charter school that is getting things done, especially when we're under the cap and there are additional seats available, it's a no-brainer to make this happen. So, Will, we're proud of you. We're going to talk to some of your other folks here who are just part of the magic here. So thank you so much for spending some time with us.
Thank you, Carrie. Appreciate it.
We'll be back in a moment.